Yeah, some part of the book. Yeah.
What's the biggest challenge about Ball State?
You know what? We've talked about this. I think the biggest challenge for them structurally, it's a pretty quote-unquote normal defense, if you will. They have some good strength inside. They're two inside defensive tackles. One played against us last year and was a good matchup for our kids. And they have another new guy that's about 315, 317 inside. So I think getting push inside in our run game is going to be a challenge. The Mike linebacker's a veteran kid for them. But really, like always, and especially coming off the week we had last week, what we've concerned ourselves with is play South Florida. You know, do what we're supposed to do, play the way we're supposed to play, and without any, this is not disrespectful to any opponent we play, then we'll be fine. And but the challenge for Ball State will be it's going to be an excited team. They came off a big win against Indiana, obviously. They have some good strength inside. I think they're a physical group. They tackled well last year against us. They're tough kids, I believe. But we're really focused on what we have to do to become as productive and efficient as we can for not just this game. It's the next week at Florida State, the next week after that. We just got to keep that mindset through the rest of the season.
How do you get the running game going?
Well, I think it's consistency with our line and more so with our communication. There wasn't a lot of physical matchups where that guy just knocked us back and all that kind of thing. I think we need more communication. I think we need more consistency in the looks we see and the fits how we fit those looks. And so we can get a groove with our backs because it's all about seeing it, tracking it, seeing it, tracking it. And probably if you looked at, the run game, they had 3 plays where they had a good scheme where they said, you got you. 3 times out of 20 some odd runs. So the rest of it, we hit some of them for good plays. And the ones that weren't so good were more so on us with how we're fitting it, how we're communicating, how we're getting everybody to the right spot.
And how crucial is it to establish a running game, just to have the balance and keep the defense honest?
There's people that do it without it, but there's very few that win consistently without it. You got to have that mindset where I'm going to throw it 65 times a game, and that's how I'm going to win. And that's that's philosophical. And there's not good or bad, but we want to be balanced. We want to have some run game, especially in a game like that. That's a pressure-oriented defensive team with the way they play, and it's not any new style. They've been playing that way for 10, 12 years, whatever it is. So it's awfully hard in a game like that to be one-dimensional and be successful. And but to be a winning team, so to speak, on a consistent basis, you have to have the balance of both. Now, some games it may be more balanced to run. Some you throw more, and that's game planning and how a game unfolds. But you want to have the defense has got to be respecting of both phases of your offense.
Are there any tweaks have you done or anything to the offense to help bolster the running game?
Oh, we look at everything. We look at personnel. We look at do we have the right guys in the right spot, how we're coaching it, how we're teaching it. It's a constant. It's always a fluid situation. Today we met. We had a little rain delay, obviously, and so we met together more with the backs, the quarterbacks, the line, the tight ends, everybody. Hey, let's talk about this. Here's how we're fitting this. This is how we're calling this. This is where we're going. Just to get everybody on the same page more so. Different defenses make things look worse than others. But in a team like Rutgers that moves and bounces around a bunch, you have a lot more of those things that happen, and that's even more critical in those games.
A lot of the plays were designed for BJ Daniels, whether they're running plays or passing plays. What are you going to do with that pressure on BJ Daniels?
Well, as that game unfolded, the quarterback run was one thing that we had hats for, and when we blocked it pretty well, probably averaged about 6-7 yards, and kind of was our safety net, so to speak, as that game unfolded. You certainly want to have parts of your offense where you take the pressure off your quarterback, where you can say, hey, take a deep breath, turn around, hand that thing off, and relax, because as that game unfolded, pretty much every play required him to make a play or make a quick decision, and that's hard, but that's part of the position. But we certainly have looked at some things that, hey, if we need to take a blow with the quarterback, give him a break, so to speak, mentally, that we have some formations, some things that we can just turn around and hand that ball off, or get out of his hand pretty quickly, that he can take a breath, so to speak.
How the young guys offensively, guys like Montgomery, Price, even McFarland and Dunkley, what are you seeing from them in terms of their understanding of the offense and their progress?
I think all of them progressed. It's interesting to see as you go into a practice, then the flow of the game. Davario Montgomery, let's say, that was the first one you mentioned, I believe, played 8 plays, and you watch his 8 plays. Now, there weren't factors on a play, but you watched his body language and how he ran the route or how he blocked the perimeter. He knew what he was doing. So every one of those guys you watch, and you just kind of watch the tape and see how comfortable they are, because the guys will tell you in their body language. Sean's done an outstanding job on special teams, one of our more consistent special teams players, getting comfortable with the offense when you're a tight end. Now you're part of the block. Now you're part of the route running. I think if we put him out there and just ran routes with him, he feels pretty good. Getting him in there with all the fits and the run game, some of the things we were talking about earlier, that takes a little longer. It's more, and he's going to be an outstanding blocker. It's just the comfort level with everything going around him. But I think they've all improved. And I think, as we talked about earlier, week 2, I believe, when Dunkley made a couple plays at Reno, you'll see that come on as the year goes on. We're 3 weeks into it, and we've still got 9 games left. It's going to be a long season. I told somebody today, this is a marathon, it's not a sprint. You know what I mean? This is we're 1-game seasons, as like Coach Holtz likes to talk about, and I think that's exactly right. But,
got 9 seasons
but you
left.
got 9 seasons left. You know what I mean? And I said it before. I said, you remember for what you do in November. Let's just make sure we take care of business week to week and finish the way we want to finish.
You mentioned personnel. You looked at some personnel. Is anybody getting a little more of a look now that may try to help to bolster the running game?
Nobody that hasn't been in the mix, in the too deep and playing. It's just the right mixture of people and health and confidence and guys getting comfort level. So we'll look at that and if there's something we feel that helps us, but there's nobody we're pulling out of the woodwork, so to speak,
right,
to plug in anywhere.
Speaking of the special teams, can you talk about Brock Housecounts and how he's improved this season?
Yeah, well, I don't deal with him much, but it's a big deal because when you do punt, that's a change in field position about 40 yards, and he's been pretty consistent. That's the biggest thing. Last year, he would bang a couple and then have a couple inconsistent kicks, and the nicest thing that I've seen from him, everything's been pretty consistent, and that's what we're looking for as a football program for length of the season.
Would you say he's one of the most consistent players on the special teams right now?
Yeah, I think all our kickers have done a pretty good job. I think the kickoff's been outstanding because the change in the rule. I don't know if we've had a return, maybe one against us all year. They're doing a good job kicking it out. And, I think the kickers as a whole have done a pretty nice job.